Warrant questions for April 15th. We have an area of a square with 49 square inches. How long are its side lengths? So I drew a square. Now inside, that means I'm going to have 49 little squares that make it up. So I'm asking how long the side is. Well, if there are 49 squares on the inside, that means each side length, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, is going to be 7 units long. So without having to draw all of this out, I just understand that 7 times 7 gives me the 49. So if the area of the square is 49, the side length is 7. And of course, that relates to what we saw in one of our previous lessons. If you take the square root of 49, I'll take my calculator here, just type in the square root of 49, you get 7. Problem 2 says solve for the missing side, and you can use a calculator. So we have a right triangle, and its short side is 11, its medium side is 60, and we're trying to find the hypotenuse, the longest side of this. So again, I'm going to redraw this. And I'm going to draw the squares off of my sides, because what I'm going to be using is the Pythagorean theorem. So I throw in 11 for this side length, which means the area of the square is 11 times 11, length times width is the area of the square, 121. And this measures 60. So I do 60 times 60, which is going to be 3,600. And that will tell me what the area of the biggest square is. And the reason that I know this is the Pythagorean theorem. So the Pythagorean theorem says if you take a leg and you square it, as in you take 11 and you square it, and you add it to the other leg squared, that means 60 squared. If we have a right triangle, which it is, they will always add up and equal the area of your largest square. So 3,600 plus 121 is 3,721, which means the area of this square is 3,721. And the side length, the hypotenuse, just like the previous problem, we then can take the square root of it to see what number times itself gives us that. So I take my calculator and I go 3,721, the square root button, and I get 61 exactly. So those are my 3 side lengths. And the last problem, simplifying with exponents. The first one, 4 to the 6, if I write out the long way, means 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4. I'm going to multiply that by 4 to the third. So here's the 4 to the 6, here's 4 to the third, but in all I'm multiplying 4 a total of 9 times, so it should have been 4 to the 9th power. This, with a parenthesis, implies grouping. So you take 4 to the 6, 3, 4, 5, 6, but I'm going to have 3 groups of those. So times another 4 to the 6 and times another 4 to the 6, which means when I'm done, I'll have 4 multiplied a total of 18 times, or 6 times 3 gives us 18. The next one is a dividing with exponents. So I'm going to take 4 to the 8th power, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and divide it by 4 to the 3rd power. And then I can use the idea of the giant 1. So I look for any giant 1s, and I see 3 of them. Here's a giant 1, a giant 1, a giant 1, and what I have left is 4 to the 5th power. These I don't have to worry about, because if their values are 1, anytime you multiply by 1, your value doesn't change. So it just stays as 4 to the 5th power times 1 times 1 times 1, which is still 4 to the 5th power. And the last one flips around. So now we have 4 to the 3rd as the numerator, divided by 4 to the 8th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I make my giant 1s again. Again, these don't disappear, they equal 1. So that means my numerator is really 1 times 1 times 1, which is 1. And my denominator is 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4, which is 4 to the 5th, times 1 times 1 times 1, which doesn't change the value. So this could be your answer. Or if I go back to the previous problem, the shortcut when the base numbers are the same is you subtract the exponents. 8 minus 3 is 5. Here you do the same thing. 3 minus 8 is negative 5. So you also could write the answer as 4 to the negative 5th power. So the negative exponent, all that means is you have this many 4s in the other half of your fraction, in this case, the denominator.